Network presents two fired up Bears fans. They are ready to rumble on the Bear Debate.
You're listening to the Ballroom Network. The following program is intended for all audiences. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Goon Podcast with your hosts, Joe Mandel, the Goon, and the man with the plan, Adam Schaum. We're bringing you the fantasy football knowledge that you need every single week.
Derrick Henry still going. Stays in bounds. He might go 99 yards for the touchdown. Unbelievable.
Flushed out again all the way back. Turning the corner. Fires downfield. Caught. Touchdown. Only Mahomes turns what might have been a 15-yard sack into a 27-yard touchdown.
Saquon Barkley across midfield, down the sideline, staying in bounds, and Barkley takes it all the way. 68 yards for his first NFL touchdown. McCaffrey right up the middle, and he is gone for the touchdown. 58 yards. Pass is to Thomas. He's gone. Touchdown Saints.
Okay, it's time for the easiest part of any coach's job, the cut. Now, while I wasn't able to cut everyone I wanted to, I have cut a lot of you. Steven, I like your hustle. That's why it was so hard to cut you. Congratulations, the rest of you made the team. Except you, and you.
God bless fantasy football. There are many things a man can do with his time. And this, better than those things.
Happy Football Sunday, everybody, and welcome to Fantasy Football Goon. I'm one of your hosts, Joe Mandel, the Goon, and I'm joined by Adam Schaum, the man with the plan, my co-host, and Lowe's master extraordinaire. Adam, how you doing this morning, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving, Joe. Didn't have much exciting football on Thanksgiving, so hopefully the food was great and the family
Yeah,
time.
man. You too, man. Yeah, the food was great, and spending time with the family was awesome. I know you like to smoke your turkey, and the pictures looked amazing. If you haven't seen it, you can head it on Adam's Twitter, Papa Bear 816. Adam, how did that smoked turkey turn out, man?
It was fantastic, man. As always, it just got to keep that thermometer in there. Don't let it go too far on it. Keep an eye on it. But man, it comes out great, and the smoked turkey makes for great leftovers. You can make a lot of other things with it that give that smoke flavor into stuff. And so we'll have some homemade turkey noodle soup tonight with it.
Oh, man, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, here we are, week 12 of the fantasy season, the playoffs quickly approaching. And Adam, I tell you what, even though there was 3 games on Thursday, there's a handful of great matchups today, including the game of the week, Indianapolis playing Tampa Bay, and what's probably going to be one of the better games we've seen all year long. There are 2 major teams on bye this week. So, if you have Chiefs or Cardinals, you want to get those guys out of your lineups. Of course, Kyler Murray's been banged up. He could definitely use the bye week to hopefully get healthy. And of course, I think every fantasy player in the history of the league has probably at least one Chief. And if you don't, then you probably aren't doing so hot. But anyway, Chiefs and Cardinals.
I don't think I have a Chief in any league, Joe, to be honest with you. No, actually, I had CEH and Darrell Williams on one, just out of being forced to take them, basically. But that's about it.
You know what? Now that I mention it, I think you're right. I think I have one league. I have Harrison Butker. I think that's it.
Yeah, I'm just never willing to pay that high price for Kelsey usually, and Tyreek Hill usually when he's there. So is Devontae Adams, and I usually would go Adams most of the time.
This is true. You would argue that more people have Cardinals this year. Now that you think about it, you got Kyler Murray, a lot of those wide receivers, whether it's AJ Green or DeAndre Hopkins, who could also use another bye week to help get healthy. But good thing for all of the folks out there that even though these are 2 big fantasy teams, there's a lot of great matchups people can play today, Adam. And I know we'll get to it in our sleepers a little bit later. But real quick, off the top of your head, I know we'll dive into it later. Spoiler for everyone watching the show. Hang out towards the end for the sleepers. But Adam, who's one of your pick from the barrel off of waivers right now and can kind of give you a good performance today?
I like Rex Burkhead for Houston Texans. He's a guy you could snag right up and put in the backfield. That I think he got 14 or 15 carries last week, which is the most he's had in a few years. And they released Phillip Lindsay, and it's basically Burkhead and David Johnson, and we know David Johnson's mostly just passing game player these days. So they've got a decent matchup of bottom dwellers there versus the Jets, I think, today. So I think Burkhead could get a pretty good fair share of work and somebody you could likely snag off the wire.
Yeah, no, I love that choice. And it's funny, in my sleeper pick, I also have David Johnson today. And I think both of those running backs for Houston, and I know we joke every week, but whoever plays the Jets is probably going to go off. So I think either guy is flex spot worthy and can help you out. But one big quarterback name, because of course you got 2 big quarterbacks on bye in Kyler Murray and Patrick Mahomes. Taylor Heineke available in majority of leagues, Adam. And this is a guy going up against the Seattle defense, which feels like they get almost worse every week. So, and he gets one of his big targets back in Logan Thomas, who comes off of IR today, or is expected to come off of IR. I haven't seen an official announcement, but he practiced all week. So, that could be a guy that could blow up and not cost you much at all.
Yeah, absolutely. He could be a very good play, especially like you mentioned, if Logan Thomas does come back today. He's much needed for that team, I think. And I think that Taylor Heineke, just the volume of passing he ends up doing most of the times is going to make your fantasy day, And we saw him last week. Terry McLaurin finally got back on track and had a big game. I like Heineke as a good play. That's a good choice today, Joe. And I just see a little bit of breaking news that Cordero Patterson is going to play today.
Wow, he was trending towards not playing. I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah.
We'll touch on it later, but I doubt there's any way he's near 100%.
No, yeah, I'm definitely going to bring him up here later.
Yeah, and spoiler alert for everyone, the answer is not going to be Mike Davis in that backfield.
No.
It's another name that Adam and I will touch on a little bit later. But before we get into our starts and sits, Adam, we actually have a couple questions in the chat. So let's go ahead and field a couple of these. Our buddy Connor Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Javonte Williams, Brandon Ayuk, or Rashad Bateman. Pick two.
Oh, man.
That's a wealth of riches right there.
Yeah.
Well, Devontae Smith, I just love his matchup today. Personally, I'm definitely starting Devontae Smith. Adam, who are you? I'm assuming you're going to pick Devontae, but who's your other pick here?
Yeah, man, this is really tough because I like all of these guys today. I think I'm playing all these guys on one team or another somewhere.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Bateman takes a little bit of a step down for me if it sounds like Marquise Brown is likely to play. So I'd probably kick him out. I think it's Smith, and man, I can't hardly walk away from Jalen Waddle's target share every week. Ayuk has looked really good lately as well, but I think I would go Smith and Waddle out of these until Javonte gets the bulk of the carries. It's kind of 50-50 still with him and Gordon, but both can be productive players. It's Waddle and Smith for me, but man, Connor, great choices there.
Yeah, it's great to have a wealth of riches. I think I'm slightly different from you, Adam, in the fact that I would take Smith and I'd probably go Ayuk because I don't love Waddle's matchup against Carolina. I don't know how much time they're going to have to throw the ball. So that's the only reason that Ayuk edges him out by just a smidge for me. But again, it's really close. And like I said, you're probably going to start all these guys over the course of our 12 leagues that we're in. So good options.
Connor, Ayuk's a good choice as well. I agree. And that's a good point about Carolina's a tougher matchup for sure.
Yep. And then Connor's got another one here for us. Adam, Bateman or Stevenson for you?
Man, that one's pretty tough. Damian Harris is playing again, right?
From my understanding, yes.
They should be split in time. I think I'd go Stevenson still, man. That Patriots, I mean, that's their recipe right there is run the ball, play defense, and win games, and they're headed right to the playoffs doing that right now and to the top of that division. So I think you can play both Patriots running backs, and I'd feel more comfortable probably with Stevenson over Bateman.
Yeah, and for everyone that's upset about the fact that they're splitting carries, I mean, they've been running the ball anywhere from 25 to 30 times a game. So if you're getting 15 carries, I don't think you have anything to worry about. So, and Tennessee is not the run defense that they were last year. That's for sure.
No, I think the Patriots are gonna really put it on the Titans today.
Yeah, no, I love that. And our buddy Travis Adams says he's watching us from Cowboys Stadium.
Awesome.
There you go, man. Can you get us on that big screen at Jerry's World? We want to be on the giant screen.
Yeah. Want to get us up there in front of everybody.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, man. I think Travis mentioned a while back his son was playing there, and I think that's what's going on today, if I remember correctly, because obviously the Cowboys played on Thanksgiving, so I'm sure Travis's son is probably there playing today. So Travis, enjoy it, soak it all up. He says he's wearing the same jersey as me. There you go.
Nice. Good luck to your son, Travis. Hope everything works out. Great game.
Yeah. He's going to try to put in a word with Jerry for us, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, tell him to throw a few dollars our way to back the show.
Yeah, we'll talk about all the Cowboys if they want. We'll do a Cowboys fantasy show.
Yeah.
Buddy Ron Rupp now hanging out in the chat room with us. Flex spot 6-point PPR, Thielen or Patterson?
6-point PPR.
Are you sure? Yeah, Ron, I just want to make sure. Did your league that you're in is 6 points per catch, or is it
score like 1,000 points a week?
I think he meant to say maybe it's 1 point PPR, but either way, I think regardless, the answer is probably the same, right, Adam?
Yeah, either way, this is a Thielen for me all the way. So you're going to hear me talk about him again here in a little bit. But yeah, Adam Thielen all the way.
Yeah, we got a feeling for our buddy Thielen today, so I love that choice. And regardless, he's going to have more catches than Patterson, who is banged up and playing, but I don't know how long he'll stay in the game. Oh, 6-point QB.
Okay, 6-point passing touchdowns.
Yeah. Still, I would still go with Thielen. So,
Yeah.
and then one more from our buddy Connor, Antonio Gibson or Aaron Jones. Well, we don't know that Aaron Jones is 100% playing today. I have not heard anything. I believe he's a game time decision.
Yeah.
And the problem with that game is it's an afternoon game. It's the 3:30 game Central Time. And at that point, if he doesn't play, you're kind of screwed. And I love Antonio Gibson's matchup today, Adam. So I'm assuming we're both probably on the same page to take the safe play and go with Gibson.
Yeah, I've got a similar choice right now. And my flex on team, I was trying to choose between Gibson and A.J. Dillon, actually. And I decided to go with Gibson they're actually the Monday night game tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. So I guess you could wait and see if Jones plays.
Yeah, I'm kind of going to see how the early games go today. And, if I'm in a good spot, I think I'm going Gibson for sure. If I get behind or something, I may go Dillon just for the chance of the upside. But I think Aaron Jones is a little bit risky today because I think he may play, but I don't think he's going to get his normal workload, and they may just kind of ease him in. They have a bye week next week as well, finally. So to me, it's kind of surprising they're thinking about playing him at all. I really thought they would give him the week off no matter what to have another 2 weeks to heal up.
For sure.
But I would definitely take Gibson out of this, I think. But kind of keep an eye on the early games and see how your team's doing.
Yeah, and Gibson's been a bruiser lately, man. He's looking like he's the guy we talked about at the start of the season. And he's going against that soft Seattle run defense today. I have a feeling you might hear about him again later in the show from Adam and I. So
yeah, I think Gibson's finally healthy coming out of that bye week, and they've still been having him questionable on Wednesdays and Thursdays, but I think they're just giving him the break, during the week to just show his strength for the weekends. And I think he had 19 carries last week and almost 100 yards. So it's just a matter of getting in the end zone after 19, 20 carries. So I really like Gibson going forward.
Yeah, me too, man. I love him the rest of the way for sure. So let's get into our starts and sits of the week, Adam. Why don't we start things off with your quarterback starts of the week?
All right. I'm going out on a limb here with one of them, man. Russell Wilson. I think today's the bounce back game. Finally, he has looked really bad the last 2 games coming back from that.
He has.
And I think maybe the recipe to fix that is the Washington football team defense. Everybody can pass on Washington. They just can't stop anybody through the air. So I'm expecting a big game from him and another guy on that team we'll mention in a few minutes. I think Russell Wilson bounces back today. I just can't imagine Russell Wilson having 3 horrible games in a row. So I really like him today coming back versus that defense. And another guy that we've mentioned a few weeks, but he just goes under the radar, Kirk Cousins. The guy's thrown 2 interceptions on the whole season.
It's impressive. Yeah,
he has like the best touchdown interception ratio in 10 years or something. I think I heard the other day right now. So I love Kirk Cousins. As we say before, he can always get it done even in the last few minutes of the game. If it looks like it's murky, he pulls it out at the end. Him and Justin Jefferson, man, their chemistry is just, he's getting to where has no problem just chunking it down there to Jefferson, and he goes up and gets it. And the points add up quick like that with Cousins. So I like him versus San Francisco. Their secondary is not very good. So look for a big game from him today. And one of the usuals, Jalen Hurts, man, you just got to keep putting him in there every week. I mean, I think he's been a top 10 quarterback every week of the year. And maybe that one game he wasn't. I think he had the one game he was not. But I guess the Giants defense, they're not bad, but they're not great either. But divisional matchup there, I think it's going to be a really good game right there. And I think Hurts gets it done with his legs again, and maybe on the outside to a tight end we might talk about.
Yeah, I feel like we might. And Hurts, I on Thanksgiving, I was going back and forth if I wanted to start Hurts this week or go with Dak, and I ended up keeping Hurts, and I feel good about that decision after that game.
You did choose Hurts on that one?
Yeah, I chose Hurts, so hopefully
it
pays off today. But I love all these picks, Adam. Great quarterback starts this week, and this might be the first time all year we don't have the same quarterbacks, at least one of them, in our picks. I love Cam Newton today against Miami. This is a guy that has come back and just led his team like he never left, which is bizarre. Miami, as everyone knows, not very good. They're very susceptible against a running quarterback. and Cam's also going to be able to throw. Not a lot, but you're probably going to get like 250 and maybe a touchdown or two out of Cam, but he's going to get them with his legs too. So I like Cam Newton to have at least a 3 touchdown day and close to 100 yards rushing. For a fantasy quarterback, that's all you could ask for. I love him this week. Same thing, Matthew Stafford going to Green Bay. This is a guy that, he's continues to lose weapons, but he still gets it done, and he's got everyone around him. This is the game I think you look for Van Jefferson to have a big breakout. I'm looking for Stafford to go well over 300 yards passing with 3 or 4 touchdowns today. I mean, mind-blowing stuff from Stafford this year for a late draft bargain. And a guy that no one's talking about, maybe the last couple of weeks a little bit, but Jimmy Garoppolo really starting to put it together. It feels like going up against that Minnesota secondary, which is a disaster.
Yeah.
I expect Jimmy G again to destroy Minnesota. The run game, which we continue to say, this is the week Jeff Wilson comes back, has disappointed. Elijah Mitchell is looks like he's healthy and he's probably going to lead the way. This looks like a game where Jimmy Garoppolo is going to do a lot of throwing, and I like Debo and Brandon Ayuk in this game. Jimmy Garoppolo over 300 yards, and I'm going to say he's going to go for 4 TDs today. So I feel like he could be one of the top scoring quarterbacks that nobody has on their roster.
Yeah, I agree, Joe. I like that pick a lot. Garoppolo has been really good for 3 or 4 weeks now, and seems like he really heard all the whispers about Trey Lance taking the job over there when they were struggling, and he's really got together. I think George Kittle coming back healthy has been a big part of that as well. I think Kittle had a touchdown in 3 straight games, which he had never even had a touchdown in 2 games consecutive in his career before until this, which is shocking. But they just got so many weapons, and they make it easy on Jimmy G with short throws and stuff like that. And, Debo and Ayuk just make plays with the ball in their hands. So they make Jimmy G's stats go up pretty easily and quickly.
They certainly do. Those guys have been playing out of their minds lately.
Yeah.
Moving into our running back starts of the week, I'll go with mine. We talked about him earlier, Antonio Gibson going against the Seattle Seahawks. Gibson has been a world beater. He's been a horse leading the way from that backfield, making me forget about J.D. McKissick, although he is their third down passing back. But Gibson has looked strong. He looks healthy, and Seattle's horrible. And I'm calling it right now, Antonio Gibson over 100 yards today, 2 touchdowns. Who knows? Maybe he even goes 3, but I definitely feel like he's going to have 2. Another name that is owned, he's available in majority of leagues, is Ty Johnson today for the Jets. He's probably going to start for them, and if he's not starting, I think he will eventually end up having more carries because he's the more explosive back. I've been talking about Ty Johnson as a sleeper for a chunk of the season, and I think he really puts on a show today against Houston. Ty Johnson, he's going to catch some passes too, Adam. I think that's where people forget that he's involved in that aspect of the team as well. So Ty Johnson, I really do believe he's going to go like 100 and change with 1 rushing touchdown and one receiving touchdown. So this is a guy you could literally plug into your lineup right now. I'm actually going to see if he's available in some of my other leagues where I'm desperate to plug him in, but I like Ty Johnson today. And then I like Miles Sanders to come back in a big way today against the New York Giants. He looks like he might be back to health. I don't want to say he's fully healthy, but he looks like he's almost there. More explosive. And as you mentioned, Adam, the Giants defense is just kind of middle of the road, and they definitely can get beat against the pass. But if you hit it between the tackles just right, which Miles Sanders has a tendency to make some good cuts, I think he's going to see the end zone at least once today and get over 100 yards for what's probably the first time since earlier this year. I think he maybe only had 1 this year. I'd have to double check his stats, but I like Miles Sanders today.
I don't know if he's made it to 100-yard game. That's my only hang up with Sanders. They're just so hard to predict who's going to get the carries. Every time you think they switch it up on us, it seems like. But Miles Sanders' talent is, it's obvious when you see him compared to those other guys, Boston Scott and stuff. Like Miles Sanders is fast, and like you said, he makes cuts, and he can break big plays easily. So I love Miles Sanders, the player. I'm just hesitant about their decision making there of who's getting the ball, but I really love the other 2 picks as well. As
Thank
you'll
you,
see
sir.
here on mine in just a second.
Yeah, right. Miles Sanders has not had a 100-yard rushing game this year, Adam. The closest he got was against Tampa Bay. He rushed for 83 yards earlier this season. Look for him to have his first 100-yard game today. I really do believe that he's going to run all over the Giants, who are one of the worst rush defenses in the league. So, so good stuff there. Let's take a look at your running backs. I know we got a couple doubles, but with good reason.
Yeah, one of mine also is Antonio Gibson, as you mentioned. I love him today. We've already talked about him a little bit. Not much more to say other than he's the guy going to get at least 15 carries, hopefully closer to 20. And he's been getting 2 or 3 targets the last few weeks as well, which I'm still kind of boggled. My mind's boggled by the fact that they don't throw to him more often than they do. I mean, the guy was a wide receiver in college, and was a fantastic wide receiver in college. And when they have given him the ball, you've seen one game this year, he had like a 75-yard touchdown on a screen pass. Last season, I remember he had an 80-yard touchdown on a screen pass versus Baltimore. I remember just give the guy the ball, not just on the ground, like let him use all his skills, not just one. So just feed Antonio Gibson, but I love the guy. Another one I mentioned, A.J. Dillon earlier. I'm trying to decide between those 2 in a flex spot right now, but A.J. Dillon I liked. As we said, I don't think Aaron Jones is going to be 100% or really – he's kind of going to be more of a decoy, I think, today. It's just like, oh, look, here he is, and then we're going to throw it out to Devontae Adams, or something. And I think A.J. Dillon's going to actually get the running back work today. And in what typically should be the game of the day, in my opinion, the Rams and the Packers. But we've seen how that usually goes. The best matchup tends to fail us every week.
Yeah,
but,
snooze fest.
Yeah, every time we say this, we end up with a 10-7 game or something. But hopefully that's going to be a high-scoring game. I think A.J. Dillon could get a goal line touchdown and maybe a little passing game in there and score something in the passing game, I think. So I think he gets in the end zone once, maybe twice today. I really hope so. And James Robinson in a great matchup versus Atlanta defense. They're really bad against the run. James Robinson gets a lot of work and in the passing game as well. And Jacksonville just needs James Robinson to be their recipe to get down the field. So it's basically James Robinson and Dan Arnold until last week. But I like James Robinson to get a lot of carries today and probably get in the end zone again. He almost always falls in the end zone, even when they're trailing. They get the ball down there and he ends up with a touchdown. So I like James Robinson once again this week.
Yeah, man. He had a tough start to the season, but I feel like Robinson's finally coming into his own. So
yeah.
And like you said, the matchup is too good to pass up this week. That's for sure. Let's take a look into our wide receiver starts of the week. And I want to remind the chat room, if you guys have any fantasy questions, don't hesitate to drop them here in the chat. We will answer them here throughout the course of the show. But looking at wide receiver starts, we'll go with mine. I love Brandon Cooks today against the Jaguars. I'm sorry, the New York Jets. I'm getting to my next guy too quickly. The Jets are horrible, and Brandon Cooks, when he's got a good matchup, tends to have a good day. And he's got Tyrod Taylor back, which helps things a lot with him because they have a good rapport, as you could imagine. So Brandon Cooks all day against the Jets, PPR machine. I really do think he's going to have like 8 or 9 catches today, maybe more than that, and plus 80 plus yards and a score. Yep. Brandon Cooks, PPR, must start. Russell Gage is a guy who has disappointed since he took over as quote unquote wide receiver 1 for the Falcons, but his targets have been there. He's getting anywhere between 7 and 9 targets a game. Especially when you're going up a terrible defense like the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think Russell Gage could actually catch a good chunk of those targets. I think he's going to have at least 7 catches today, go over 100 yards with a score. Russell Gage will finally make fantasy owners have their patience pay off. So hopefully you still have him on your team and didn't drop him. That's a strong possibility. But I like him today. And, of course, we talked about our buddy Russell Wilson earlier. I like Tyler Lockett today against the Washington football team. That's going to take a while to get used to until they change it again next year. Tyler Lockett is their deep guy. He has been, I know he's a kind of a boomer bust player, but Washington, I almost did it again. I'm going to stop trying to say the football team. Washington has been horrible on defense specifically. Well, their whole team, but their secondary has been really bad. Tyler Lockett's the kind of guy that's going to beat you deep. Your starts, you have another wide receiver for Seattle, but I think, like we said, Russell Wilson's going to have a good day today. That's going to be a shootout, I think, and it's going to be that could be the top fantasy game of the week. Maybe the strong possibility, but I love all three of these guys, and I know Adam has another wide receiver from Seattle on his picks.
Yes, sir. I love DK Metcalf this week because of, like we said, we talked about Russell Wilson getting back on track this week. I think we see one of those 40, 50-yard DK Metcalf bomb touchdowns today. Or Wilson just throws the best deep ball in the league. At least he has until the last couple of weeks anyway. But I think that gets back on track. I think him and DK have a massive game today. I'm looking for 2 touchdowns for DK. And actually, it's not today. That's the Monday night game again, isn't it? We keep talking about today, but Seattle, Washington's Monday night. But, yeah, I think DK has a huge game. Tyler Lockett could as well, as you said. I just think Seattle gets back on track this week. I love Brandon Cooks, as you mentioned. Target monster. I think he's had 13 or 14 targets like 5 times this season. And with Tyrod Taylor back, I think that just makes it even safer. Just like you said, PPR machine, he's going to get you points there, and I think he gets in the end zone versus the Jets. So I love Brandon Cooks again today. And we mentioned Adam Thielen earlier. I don't know that we've talked about Adam Thielen at all this year until this week, but he just continues to be a red zone target, get those touchdowns every time you need it. It seems like, oh, there's Adam Thielen wide open in the corner of the end zone. And Kirk Cousins hits him. And I think that Vikings 49ers game is going to be a pretty good game there. So I look for Thielen to get in the end zone again and probably have 8 or 9 targets in the game and probably 70, 80 yards and a touchdown. So I think he's a very safe play today.
I'm with you, man. I tell you what, the Vikings have been way better fantasy-wise than I think anyone expected this year.
Yeah.
And specifically Kirk Cousins might have been the best bargain in fantasy if anyone even drafted him. There's a lot of leagues where he's still sitting there with the season he's having. He's having a better year than Dak, which is crazy to say.
Yeah, Cousins is top 10 quarterback this year.
Yep, he certainly has been. And I don't think Dak is even in the top 20 right now. I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure he had, 2 weeks ago, he killed me with like negative 0.25 or something. It was brutal.
Yeah, he's had that negative game. He had like a 3 or 4 point game earlier in the year, and then he missed one game or so. And, he's been up and down, but, when he's right, you're getting 25 out of him. But when he's wrong, you're getting 3. So, yeah, Cousins has been a lot safer option all season.
I've been trying to trade Dak all year, and I just don't think it's going to happen at this point. But it's been a fun one for sure. The Cowboys have had an up and down season for sure. But Adam, let's take a look at your tight end starts of the week.
All right, Joe. I got the return of Gronkowski last week. He came back last week, and man, he looked fantastic. He looked very healthy finally. I think they made the right choice holding him out as long as they did. He looked great, and I think him and Brady. Brady's always going to be looking for Gronk, so I think Gronk gets in the end zone again today versus Indianapolis. Their pass defense is pretty awful. They're pretty good against the run, but terrible against the pass. So I think you can see Brady looking for Gronk down the seam, and I expect a touchdown out of him today. And the guy we've been talking about for 3 or 4 weeks now, Pat Freiermuth for Pittsburgh. He's Big Ben's red zone target, man. He looks, as soon as Big Ben gets there and sees some pressure, he looks for Freiermuth and dumps it off. He's been scoring all the time. I think Eric Ebron, I think, is hurt now for, I'm not sure for how long. I know Ebron's out, though. He may be out.
He'll be out.
Yeah, so Freiermuth's the guy there at tight end, and I think you can just count on red zone, kind of like Hunter Henry, but with a little more volume, a little more targets. So I think he's a very safe play at tight end. I'm comfortable playing him in my lineup any week now.
Yeah, me too.
And the other guy's Dallas Goedert. We mentioned Jalen Hurts earlier in the Eagles, and this should be a pretty good game with the Giants. Goddard likes to line up on the outside there, and that's really the only place Jalen Hurts throws the ball. He does not throw the ball down the middle of the field. Yeah, you never see Hurts throwing down the middle of the field to anybody. He only throws to the outside, and that's where Goddard likes to go. So I think Goddard gets back on track. He's had a couple of down weeks as well, but I think he gets back on track versus the Giants today because they're going to need it, I think. So I'll look for Goddard to bounce back with probably getting the end zone as well. So these are tight ends I like this week, and you just got to cross your fingers and hope for tight ends most of the time. But these guys are really solid options, I think.
Yeah, I agree, and I agree so much to the point that we have two of the same.
Sure.
I love Gronk. What can we say? He's back. He looks healthy, and he gets a great matchup against Indy, who's not very good against the tight end. Gronkowski's going to have a big day, be targeted a lot of times today. I'd say he's going to have between 6 and 8 targets and a touchdown. All you can ask for a tight end. Same thing, Pat Freiermuth. What you said was perfect, but he is a target machine for Big Ben. Eric Ebron being out helps him that much more. So, again, these guys are must-starts if you have them. And I really like Noah Fant today against the Chargers. The Chargers have not been very good against the tight end the entire season, but specifically the last 3 weeks. I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure that they've given up a touchdown to a tight end the last 3 games, and I don't think that's going to change this week against Noah Fant, who is way better than people give him credit for. So if you're in a pinch and you need one, you have Travis Kelce on a bye, you have Zach Ertz on a bye, Noah Fant, you can plug and play, have a good day out of him. So these are the 3 guys I like this week. Noah Fant, imagine if he had a better quarterback. He'd be awesome.
Exactly. He's a very athletic player, man. He's a very athletic tight end that can run a lot of good routes. He's a pretty decent blocker as well. He can be on the field for a high percentage of snaps. So, yeah, if he just had a more consistent quarterback and they got the ball down the field more, Noah Fant could be a monster in fantasy football. But we'll see how that pans out over the next year or so. But I don't know how long Teddy Bridgewater's there to stay, but
probably not long.
Yeah,
but nonetheless, he's a freak athlete, and I'm sure he'll eventually be a top fantasy option. But before we take a quick commercial break, before our sits and our sleepers, Joseph in the chat, how is my team? Lamar, Eckler, Sanders, Devontae, Judy, Lockett, Pitts, Jimmy G, Darnell Mooney, San Fran D, Tyler Bass, PPR. I'm a Bears fan too. Bear down. It's a really solid squad, actually.
Yeah.
Pitts has been a disappointment for everyone this year. I think that's really the only thing that I would try to see if I could get somebody off of waivers. But any of the guys we just talked about, Joseph, and not that Pitts is a bad option. He's just underperforming. But Adam, what are your thoughts on Joseph's team?
Pretty solid roster there. I mean, Lamar, Eckler, and Devontae, you're going to have a pretty big floor right there just starting off every week. So you got that. When you get the blow-up game from somebody like Tyler Lockett, you can put up a monster amount of points in a week. So, yeah, it's a pretty solid team. I don't know what else he has on the bench. Miles Sanders is kind of iffy for me, or has been up to this point, but like I said, the talent's unmatched on the team for him. It's obvious he's their best running back, but it's a really solid team there, Joseph. And thanks for joining us. If this is your first time, we appreciate the question, and bear down to you too.
Man. Yeah, I appreciate you as always. And I might be in the minority this week, Adam, but I would consider playing Jimmy G over Lamar. I know it's kind of sacrilege, but Cleveland, a better defensive team than why am I drawing a blank on who the 49ers are playing? I have it right here in front of me. They're playing against Minnesota. So I love the matchup for Jimmy G, but I know that's kind of goes against everything I say about starting your studs, but I kind of like Jimmy G a little better than Lamar this week, but that might be a crazy thing to say.
That Baltimore-Cleveland game could be pretty good tonight.
I know Baltimore or Cleveland can never decide what kind of defense they are. They're either awesome or they suck.
Yeah, and they've got quarterback problems in Cleveland too. Like aside from Baker Mayfield being completely banged up in like 5 different ways. Like I just don't think he's the guy there. I don't have a lot of faith in him. I think he's moving on. I don't think he's going to get the big contract from Cleveland. And I think they got to get that figured out. But we know they've got those running backs there, and Kareem Hunt up is supposed to be back today. So I actually think that game tonight's probably going to be one of those pretty fast-paced games where both teams run the ball a lot, the clock runs, and it goes by pretty quickly. But probably the fourth quarter, I think it might be pretty close and pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that. It's going to be a fun one to watch, that's for sure. Before we take our commercial break, Jamal's got a question, then we'll go to commercial. He says he has Damian Harris, with Stevenson getting touches. Should I start Fournette over Harris? Fournette going against Indianapolis. Fournette has been the big dog over there, Adam. Would you start Fournette over Harris?
I would start Fournette over Harris. Not because I think Fournette's going to get much on the ground, but Fournette has caught a ton of passes this year. They seem to be – Brady's dumping it off to Fournette more and more every week. I think he's in the top 3 in running back receptions, and he's going to finish the year that way. He had a season like this a couple years ago with Jacksonville where he caught like 75 to 80 balls just completely under the radar. And I got to be honest, I've never been that big of a Fournette fan, and I've always thought he was quite overrated. But, man, he's really good in the passing game. He's great when he gets the ball in his hand in the passing game.
The last 2 weeks, Adam, against the Giants, the football team and the Giants, 8 catches and 6 catches.
Exactly.
Last week he caught all 6 of his targets. So, yep. I mean, he doesn't get massive yardage, but he still catches, and it's PPR. So,
yeah, and Indianapolis is very good against the run and not great against the pass. So I think the Bucs are going to throw a lot, and I think Fournette's going to get those dump offs, and I bet he gets at least 5 catches today. So I would play him over Harris.
Yep. And don't get me wrong, I like Harris and I like Stevenson.
Yeah.
You just, like I said, it's a split, and Fournette's going to be the lead dog, specifically in the passing game and definitely in the running game for whatever he gets there against Indy.
Yeah, Ronald Jones kind of robbed him of a touchdown last week or the week before. I can't remember, but that was pretty fluky. And, I mean, Ronald Jones hasn't done anything this year, so I'm playing Fournette every week.
I know. He's becoming a must-start, and that is for certain. So, absolutely good stuff right there. But we will be back after a quick commercial break. We're going to do our sleepers and our sits. But before that, we're going to hear about some of the other great programming here on the Barroom Network. We will be right back.
The Barroom Network presents 2 fired-up Bears fans. They are ready to rumble on the Bear Debate.
And we are back to Fantasy Football Goon. Adam and I are about to dive into our sleepers and our sits. Adam, let's lead things off with your sits of the week.
All right, Joe. Guy I've mentioned a couple of times over the last few weeks, Cortland Sutton for the Denver Broncos. Extremely talented receiver. I really like a lot. Had some really good games kind of early in the season. Since Jerry Jeudy has come back, he has just dwindled off every week. And we mentioned the quarterback play out there has been somewhat suspect and inconsistent, I would say, to be nice about it.
Yeah.
I don't dislike Teddy Bridgewater. It's just kind of the offense they run. And, he's doesn't throw the ball down the field enough for Cortland Sutton's skills, I don't think. So I'm not comfortable playing Cortland Sutton at all right now. He's a guy I have him on my bench if I have any other decent option. So I'm staying away from him.
And he just got that big extension, too. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I was shocked, too. They signed him and Tim Patrick on back-to-back days, didn't they? And, yeah, I was really shocked to see both of those guys get signed to those big deals back. Not that Sutton's not a great player, just on that team, I don't think he's being utilized right now the way he could be.
For sure.
So, anyways, yeah, he's on my bench right now. And Cordero Patterson, we talked about him not being 100%. Sounds like he's expected to play, but I'm staying away from him. I'm not taking my chances of him going out there and getting banged up or tweak something there in the first quarter and coming out of the game. I really don't like playing any of these guys when they're game time decisions and stuff, and they've been banged up and missed a week or two. So I'm staying away from him, even though I know he's been a huge part of a lot of teams this year. He's been one of those huge draft surprises. If you happen to snag him late in the draft or grab him off the waiver wire in week 1 or 2, he's really been a mainstay in your lineup, but I don't think this is the week to play him. And Jacksonville's defense is quite underrated as well. They've actually played pretty good football for the second half of the season. So stay away from Cordero today. I don't feel confident playing him. And Ryan Tannehill's quarterback, I'm definitely weary of playing today. They just have no weapons left out there in Tennessee.
Nope.
A.J. Brown went to IR now. He's just really on his own out there right now. I mean, they've got a hodgepodge of backup running backs, basically. Same with receivers. And New England's defense is the number 1 defense in the league right now. They're dominating teams week in and week out. I think Tannehill could spend a lot of time on his back today in that game. And I would be firing up the New England Patriots defense if I had them and putting Ryan Tannehill on my bench.
Yeah, no, I love it. As a New England Patriots owner in a couple of leagues, I love that. And Tannehill, I own in one league, and he has been a disappointment to say the least. I would argue that he's droppable at this point with no weapons. As much as I hate it for the real estate you had to give up to get him in the draft, but Tannehill.
I dropped him the other day and picked up Tony Jones Jr. the other day just in case. Because, you just can't play him right now. Who's he going to get the ball to? How are they going to score points?
I have no idea.
It's
certainly not going to be Chester Rogers.
I'd be surprised if they score 10 points today versus New England.
Me too, man. They continue to win without their weapons, but I think this is the week that they finally fall off the rails. You can only take so much as a team. And getting back to your Cordero Patterson being benched, it's not going to be Mike Davis because he's been horrible all year, but I really think Wayne Gallman's going to have a good day today against the Jaguars, and he's available in almost all leagues.
Yep. And Wayne Gallman's actually, he's a better player than he gets credit for. He always tends to be the second and third string guy, but
right.
He could easily take this role today and run away with it. I mean, not for good, but he can easily fill that role today and be great. And I totally agree. He's way more effective than Mike Davis has been.
Without a doubt. And Mike Davis is a drop for me in all leagues.
Oh, no doubt.
And let's get to my sits of the week. I'm sitting Myles Gaskin today against Carolina. He's looked better the last couple of weeks, but Carolina is one of the best run defenses in the league. They just don't let running backs score against them. If they're going to score, they usually have to be involved in the pass game. Myles Gaskin is inconsistently involved in the passing game for the Dolphins. I just don't see them getting much of anything. That pass rush is going to be after them all day. I just don't see Myles Gaskin getting anything done, so he's a bench for me. You mentioned Ryan Tannehill. I feel the exact same way that New England defense is going to eat him up, and he might have negative points today, so I'm staying away. I wouldn't touch him with a 40-foot pole, just like the Grinch. I don't feel good about Odell Beckham Jr. today against Green Bay. He's had that extra week to learn the offense, but I just don't feel like he's the kind of guy that can like pick up a playbook and instantly perform. I think it's a day, like I mentioned earlier. I think Van Jefferson and Cooper Kupp steal the show. Odell's more of a decoy in this game as he learns this playbook. And let's be honest, from what I've seen, I just don't see the chemistry with him and Stafford. Maybe I'm wrong. That's going to take some time to build up, and that just won't happen overnight. So I'm benching Odell. I know a lot of people are going to start him because it's a good matchup, but I just think he's going to go to the guys he trusts more, and that includes his tight end over Odell. So just something to think about there. And speaking of tight ends, I have CJ Uzomah on my bench list. He's a boomer bust kind of guy. Pittsburgh is dominant against the tight end and has been playing better defense as of late. And plus, CJ is one of those guys that he can take his 2 or 3 targets and sometimes make a lot out of them. I just don't see it happening today. So CJ hanging out on my bench today, Adam.
Yeah, I like those picks as well, Joe. I agree with the CJ Uzomah. I kind of think the Bengals might struggle a little bit versus Pittsburgh today. So, like you said, he's a guy, when he gets your points, it's usually on 3 catches, and he may get 75 yards and a touchdown or 2 out of that. But otherwise, he may get 1 for 9 yards, and you're sitting there empty-handed. So, yeah, no, I'm not comfortable playing him at all. And we know Odell Beckham Jr. I think I agree with what you said. It's going to take a little bit of time to blend in there. I actually think if Green Bay gets turnovers today, it's probably going to be from Stafford trying to force the ball to Beckham just because he feels the pressure to force it to him, And I think that's where Green Bay can probably get the turnovers and make up some points if they need to. So I'm not comfortable playing Beckham until I see it happen. And Gaskin, yeah, I don't see anything on the ground versus Carolina for him. If he gets anything, it's going to be through the air.
Yeah, I'm fully aligned there, man. And it's quite the run of games this afternoon, but there's some pretty good sleepers out there. Let's take a look at some of your sleeper picks heading into Sunday afternoon.
All right. Well, my first one's one of your starts of the week, Ty Johnson for the Jets. You talked a lot about him earlier. He's been a really solid player all season. I think this is the week he actually has the job to himself for the most part, and he's going to get the bulk of carries and receptions. He's very good in the passing game. I think that's where he really makes his points today, but he's going to get enough carries to give you a solid floor as well. So I think Ty Johnson has a really good game versus Houston. And on the other side of the ball, Rex Burkhead, we mentioned him at the start of the show as a guy you can grab off waiver wires. Probably going to see at least 15 carries today, and Burkhead's not bad in the passing game either. So I look for Burkhead to get plenty of carries and give you another safe floor if you're trying to replace Darrell Williams or CEH or somebody. He can come right in, do that, or Chase Edmonds. Well, Edmonds is hurt, but Connor, one of those guys. Burkhead can be a great fill-in this week. That game, I think, that's going to be a back-and-forth football game right there with probably a pretty good amount of fantasy points. Brandon Ayuk, you mentioned him as wide receiver earlier. I love him as well. I only have him as a sleeper still because most people still don't have a lot of faith in him and are really hesitant to use him. But I think the 49ers offense needs him, and I think he's becoming a more critical part of it every week. And I think he gets his 4 or 5 catches and could have 60, 70 yards on those just because he's such a playmaker. And then a guy I picked here is a very long shot, and I'm not suggesting you go put him in your starting lineup. But if you really need somebody or you're doing a DFS lineup or something, I think Donald Parham Jr. is a great dart throw for the Chargers. He's kind of their second tight end behind Jared Cook, but they line him up in the backfield sometimes. He comes out kind of as like a screen. Herbert likes him in the red zone as well. I think he only has like 15 catches on the year, but 3 or 4 of them are touchdowns. So, I mean, I can't say enough about Justin Herbert and how much I like him. So, Donald Parham is quite athletic. He's a young guy. I think he's the future at tight end for the Chargers. And I think he's a guy you could, especially like I said, in DFS, like a tournament play or something, he's a guy that could win you a matchup or a league there and that kind of thing. So, He's a really long shot sleeper, but somebody keep your eye on.
Dude, I love it. That's what it's all about, the sleeper picks. And, you might as well take someone, take a flyer if you need it. So I love all those choices there, man. And, chat room, get your last minute questions in here. We'll be answering them here shortly before we wrap the show. But before we do, we're going to get to my sleeper picks of the week. Adam likes Rex Burkhead. I like David Johnson. I think they both have flex play worthiness today. I think you'll probably see a touchdown out of both guys. And, a couple catches caught by each one. So David Johnson, literally the definition of a sleeper, somebody you can pick off waivers and start today and feel pretty good about it. Logan Thomas, this is a guy coming off of IR today against Seattle. I'm double checking to see. Oh, it's the night game. Oh, no, that's tomorrow night. Never mind.
Yeah, that's the Monday night game.
He's expected to be activated. He's practiced. So this is a guy you could take a flyer on. I'm sure he's going to be on a snap count coming back from injury, but Taylor Heineke loves this guy. He's a big tight end, big target. He was a top 3 tight end last season in terms of targets and points. I expect Logan Thomas to slowly become a top fantasy tight end again. So if you could plug him in and probably feel better about it than some of these other tight ends that you have that are kind of iffy. He's going to get his targets when he's in the game. So I know that's the only reason he's a sleeper is because he's coming back off of injury. So definitely someone you might be able to pick up too. If somebody dropped him, he might be hanging out on waivers, or, if he's on IR for somebody, maybe you could try to trade for him for cheap. Could definitely help you down the route.
Being the Monday night game, you need to be careful with that though. If you have him and you want to use him, you need to make sure you might want to try to pick up Gerald Everett or something off the wire if you have a chance, just in case Logan Thomas were to not be activated or not end up playing at the last minute. At least you have somebody you can plug in and you don't end up with a donut on the tight end spot. So you need to be careful with that being the last game of the week.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, especially given the fact that it's Monday Night Football. But
yeah,
all things
love him, though.
Yeah, all things trend towards him playing, but again, anything can happen. Things can be tweaked and all that stuff. So definitely keep that in mind. Great call out there, Adam. And along similar lines, his quarterback, Taylor Heineke, a great sleeper pick this week. I talked about him earlier in the show. Somebody you can get off waivers, plug in, and I think you could easily get 28 to 30 plus points out of him against Seattle. That's going to be a shootout. Might be the best game of the week fantasy-wise. We'll see. So I love Taylor Heineke. And then a guy who I would never consider a sleeper until his recent slump in Emmanuel Sanders. He's been brutal. The Bills have been brutal. But I think against New Orleans, you're going to start to see them start to get him the ball again. New Orleans, not as good as advertised against the pass. I know they're a good team. And I
got a prediction, Joe.
Go for it.
Buffalo wins the game 31-6.
Wow. That's a hell of a prediction.
It happened on Thursday. That game's over, buddy.
Oh, my God.
Emmanuel Sanders let us down again, I believe.
Dude, I don't know why I put him in my sleeper. Maybe I just forgot to edit this out from the other day. I don't know.
Yeah. Not to put you on the spot there, but
Look at me talking about games that already happened. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I was like, hang on a second. The Bills in New Orleans was like, wait, that game happened already Thursday. That was the last game Thursday night.
Yeah, I think I just Tooch is probably laughing somewhere in the distance because I love Emmanuel Sanders so much. I think he's going to have a great game when he's not even playing and when the game's already over.
Too. There's something's wrong with the Buffalo passing game, really. Honestly, it's just not what it was all of last season and even at the beginning of this season. Teams seem to have really figured it out, kind of like they have with the Chiefs, where they're playing that double high safety on them and trying to force Mahomes and Allen to check down, and those guys like to chuck it deep, so they're kind of struggling, I think, from a mental standpoint of learning how to do that all game long.
Yeah, I would say Emmanuel Sanders is definitely a deep sleeper today because he's not playing and the game's already over. So don't follow that bit of advice. Apparently, I had a brain fart. I put my list together last night and I was looking at the schedule, not even thinking the fact that the game's over. So that was awesome.
Yeah. No worries.
We have a lot of fun on the show, that's for
It's
sure.
been a confusing week of football. I had to look at all those games numerous times when I was picking my players and stuff too. I was like, wait a second, that one already happened, didn't it? Or then I was looking for players like, where's the Bills players and where's New Orleans players?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those weeks that you forget about Thanksgiving week. But we have a question in the chat here. I know we're going to wrap here in just a few minutes. Any chat room last minute questions, guys, get them in here. We'll be wrapping the show in about 5 minutes. But Brew Crew 4 wants to know Ramondre Stevenson or Kareem Hunt. This is a tough one, Adam.
That is a tough one. Man, that's a really tough one.
Hunt coming off of IR, of course.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious how much they're going to use him tonight. Man, super tough. I kind of think I would play Stevenson until I see how healthy Hunt is this week and see how that goes. They're going against Baltimore, pretty decent against the run. We know we've talked about the Patriots are going to run the ball. Stevenson and Harris both get plenty of work usually. I think I'd lean Stevenson for the safer play.
Yeah, and Tennessee, like we said, not the greatest run defense by any means. They're definitely beatable on the ground.
And the more New England gets ahead, hopefully in that game, the more Stevenson you're going to get, I think. Give Harris a little bit of a break since he's been a little banged up. So, yeah, I think I'd lean Stevenson, but that's a tough call.
And one thing that's a little underrated about Stevenson is him in the pass game.
Yeah,
I know he usually gets around 2 catches a week, but a couple of weeks ago against Cleveland, ironically, he had 4 catches on 5 targets. So you could definitely see that happen again for sure.
Yeah, even with a couple of catches, he makes a lot out of those catches. He breaks plays. Honestly, I'm tempted to say he looks better than Damian Harris, honestly, overall as a player. But Damian Harris is just a really good runner up the middle and between the tackles. But they're both excellent running backs. But Stevenson looks really dynamic when he gets the ball in his hand, man. I mean, that last game, he looked really good catching that short pass and cutting to the outside. And when you could see Harris just running to the middle and getting 5 yards and tackled, where Stevenson broke it to the outside and picked up 12,
Yeah, and when Harris was out against Cleveland a couple weeks ago, Stevenson went over 100 yards. Yeah. He got 20 touches, 20 carries in that game, plus 4 catches. So, I mean, this is a guy that got 24 touches in a game.
Yeah, he looks fantastic. I would play him over Hunt, but that's a really tough call there.
Yeah, it's tough, but I agree with Adam. I think I would go with Stevenson just until you see what's going on with Hunt and how much they use him today. So, great question. Any last-minute questions, guys? Get them in here. We're at the point where we're going to start wrapping things up. But, Adam, what you looking at the schedule today? What's the game that kind of shouts out to you as being like a fantasy gold mine?
Well, like I said earlier, the Rams and the Packers, it's got all the studs in it, all the guys that have carried fantasy teams this year, the Cooper Kupps, the Matthew Staffords, Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams. You've got all the studs in that game, Darrell Henderson, all these guys in that game. The way this season has went, that means it's going to go the exact opposite. But you still got to bet on you still got to expect the talent to win out there, and that's the game of the week for me, at least in theory it should be. So I really like that game, and I also like what you mentioned about the Washington-Seattle game on Monday night. That could be a really back and forth game with a lot of points as well. So, but for me, all the studs are in that Rams-Packers game.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head there, man. That's going to be fantasy dynamite, and I think the one game to watch that a lot of people might sleep on as being like a defensive game, but I think Tampa Bay Indy is going to be a good one too.
Yeah, that's a good call.
I think you could see a lot of points there. Carson Wentz is a surprisingly good play in that game for people that are in a tough place and need a quarterback. He is available in a chunk of leagues, and I think Carson Wentz today. I don't know if Indy's going to win that game or not. I think it's going to be a great game, but I do think Carson Wentz has a fantasy day. I think you could easily get 28 points. I think that's probably his ceiling for me, but maybe he even goes further than that. But Carson Wentz is a guy that at the beginning of the year, you and I both thought he was going to be dead in the water.
Yeah. In that game, I think both those quarterbacks could have a big game. I think you can see a lot of points there because both of those teams are really good against the run and really
Yeah.
bad against the pass. So I think they're both going to lean on that. I bet Brady throws 3 or 4 touchdowns today. And I agree, Wentz could have a very solid game as well. Look for Michael Pittman to be very involved. And we know Jonathan Taylor's killing everybody right now. We saw what he did to Buffalo last week.
Yeah.
I don't expect much less out of Tampa Bay. He's probably not going to get 5 touchdowns, but I bet he gets a couple. And
For sure.
he's so explosive even in the passing game. So Jonathan Taylor, he could be running back 1 next year.
Yeah, no, he's making a case for it. Absolutely. You literally might see 100 pass attempts in that game. I'm not even kidding.
Yep, I agree.
So that's going to be a fun one. I believe it's the game of the week on Fox this afternoon. So that's going to be on most national television unless you have a local team that's playing instead. Luckily for us, we don't have to watch the Bears again today. Somehow they won, but we still find a way to complain. But
yeah, it was bad.
It was a bad one for sure. But we have reached the tail end of our show. If you guys have any additional questions, you can hit up Adam or myself on Twitter at Joe Mandel, at Papa Bear 816. And of course, you can hit our Fantasy Football Goon account at FFB Goon on Twitter. And then you can find us on Facebook and Instagram as well if you need help. We're always here to help and get the questions whenever you send them our way. And we love doing that. Of course, make sure you stay tuned on the Barroom Network. All great stuff coming up this week. Dan and Aldo bare their souls. You got the Mike North Advantage. You got Bulls 101, Bulls Gold. I mean, there's so many shows. I keep Barfly Tailgate Show, Greg Gabriel. I mean, there's just so much stuff coming up. You got Bar Down, Blackhawks Talk with Vinny and Joey, Crosstown Crosstalk. So many more shows. I'm sure I'm forgetting one, but tune in. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Get notified when we go live, all the shows on our network. And then also subscribe to the podcast stream. You can find that on anywhere you find a podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it. It'll all be there for you. Adam, it's always a pleasure talking fantasy football with you, man. And hopefully you enjoy the rest of your Sunday, amigo.
Thank you, sir. You too. As I said, hopefully you had a great holiday, and
you as well.
Hopefully take it easy today before the work week starts back and everybody gets back to normal life. I know it's been a hectic weekend for everybody and a lot of confusion with football games and everything else going on. So back to reality tomorrow, I guess, for everybody. But yeah, have a great Sunday yourself, man, and appreciate everybody that tuned in and asked questions today. And hope everybody has a great Sunday. And let's finish these last 3 weeks of the regular season off strong and go get those titles.
That's right, man. We're in crunch time. We're going to be here for you guys the entire way. Don't miss out. Fantasy Football Goon coming at you in a big way. And minor thing, I haven't even mentioned this to Adam. I just realized Aldo will be filling in for me next week because I have other obligations. So you will get Aldo and Adam next week. So that's going to be fun. I'll of course have my picks and stuff in here for Aldo as well, but and I'll be answering stuff on Twitter just after my obligation in the morning, but I will be there answering questions. So it's going to be a fun week coming up, but nonetheless, we were going to help you guys get to the playoffs, to the promised land. But without further ado, for Fantasy Football Goon, I am Joe Mandel the Goon. This guy's Adam Schaum, the man with the plan. God bless America. God bless football. Let's kick some ass, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, guys.
See you next time.